Hello, welcome back. Last time I made an attempt at all the remaining rooms that I have access to, and everything that I can access now is something that I'm stuck on, so no more avoiding it. Today I gotta do the hard work of figuring out how to get unstuck. So, in many puzzle games, I've had puzzles that I've gotten stuck on for a while, and I've always wanted to improve my process for getting unstuck on them. I've tried a lot of things, and I've never found something that I feel is, really actually good for it. So I'm hoping today, maybe I can invent something that's going to work well. So I have, by the way... Okay, I got a few notes here. By the way, I fixed this silly bug. I can press space a whole bunch, and it's not going to scroll off the edge. And I suspect I'm going to be... right, I got my confidence values here. That's how it is. Yeah, this is no longer 80%. This is like 15% at this point. There are 3 sacrifices. That's gone up. Okay, this one went way down. This one went way up. I think it's much more likely that this is not true than that this is true. Anyway, so I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time in a text editor. Maybe this one, maybe I'll switch to a real text editor instead of this interface, because, this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines of that width. So it doesn't fit that much. I misclicked. So we'll see. If this is adequate, then I'll use it. If it's not, we can use another tool. So before I go and do that, let's review the... okay, closest better. Let's review the things I've done before and how close they got me. I don't think it would be useful to not prime myself with this previous knowledge, because that would just be relying on a random insight happening to come that's not what these are. I want to do this with actual hard work. Okay. Make a stack of 3, push it through the trapdoors, sacrifice here. Make another stack of 3, push it through there, make the second sacrifice there. Both sacrifices, 2 sacrifices have been made. This block is here. That's out of the way, it's ready to go there. Push that off. And this is about as far as I can get. This is the point at which I need to teleport this block over here. Push it down there and be up above. That's not enough. Why would that work? Oh, that would work because I could have had... I could have put these 2 blocks here and here. Somewhere and somewhere. Wait. So that would have raised this, and... that would have a wasted block. So right, the state change here. If this were there, I would push this south once, it would sacrifice all 3 of those would raise. This block would go up, this would become standable in that location, one of these blocks would have to be here, one would be extra. It's plausible there's an extra block in this puzzle. The way it is, I think it's more likely that there is not. So the alternate way would be if at this particular moment, before this has burned, when everything is in this state, these 2 are here and here. Because then this would go up, that block would go up with it, I'd push it over, I'd stand here, I'd push it up, there would be no extra pieces. That sounds less plausible than getting this block here, but also getting that block there did not result, was not a thing that I could do. Pressing left plays the undo sound, pressing right just plays the going forward sound. And the redo button actually does that too. So there is no redo during a replay, there's only go forward. Okay, anyway. So the thing I want is strictly unachievable, right? I do have to be standing where I'm standing. This does have to be where it is. Okay, so looking a little more at this. No, okay, so like if I'm imagining pushing this off from me being up high, that will not work because that thing is... Okay, alright, so now that I've reviewed that and seen the dead-end paths have already been on, let's work backward. Okay. This is going to be pretty awkward, but probably less so than switching applications. Be at 14.2. With all monster blocks dead. Okay, be at 14.2 with all monster blocks dead. 14.2 has a closed monster gate on it, which will at that point be open. Ah, there's another... Okay, that's a little clearer. Be at 14.2 at elevation 1 with room clear. This means, since the monster gate is open, the push block must be at 14.2. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Are we? Ways to get a push block to 14.2. Push it there after the room is clear. This means... we cannot elevate by sacrificing something. Or block and leaf have to already be at elevation 1. 2. Elevate the block before the room is clear, and push. These are equivalent. These are the same. Okay. To get a pushed block to 14.2, it must be elevated. Okay, why do I believe this? So I'm combining a couple of bits of reasoning here. It must be elevated because if this door is open, a block can be pushed on it. If the door is closed, it just must be elevated because the space is blocked at elevation 0. If the door is open, why must it be elevated? Because leaf needs to be on that block, therefore leaf must be elevated. And the reason that means the block must first be elevated when being pushed here is because elevation is pretty much inaccessible to leaf. So a new question occurs. Let's take a detour. What is the minimum number of blocks I can have in here at the point when this monster block is dead? The answer to this has to do with the question I'm trying to answer. To rephrase this a little bit more clearly, After I kill this monster block, is there some way I could escape all the way out here? Because all the elevation... Okay, so... sacrifice on either altar by pushing from the north. This, I'm going in like descending order of proximity to the end. What location is that? 16-8. Sorry, the door is at 15-8. Uh-oh, got another bug. Up arrow doesn't go to the previous line. Dang it, this text field. Left, left. Wait. Up, down. Okay. Yeah, I can't go to this line at all now. Ah, this text field. Why is such a problem? Here I can. Here I can. Oh, it's because the space. With a space there. Ah. Space is at end of lines. What a nightmare. Okay, well, this is good for my testing. This way I'm the only one who has to have this frustration. And I can save everybody else from it. Walk out of the door at 15-8? Was that the number? Yes. Walk out the door at 15-8. This is a case where I might want like an actual keybind to get to this screen so I don't have to go through the menu. It's a couple more presses. I still have a few directions of my right stick available. I think those are the only inputs that are completely unused. Walk out of the door at 15-8. Or I could just like hotkey it and not even use a controller for it. Which I gotta use a keyboard for this anyway. Walk out of the door at 15-8. Walk onto the door at 19-8. Walk onto the door at 6-8. There was only one more. Okay, so those are the only ways to elevate Leaf. The door at 6-8 is definitely too far. Like, I could not even theoretically get elevated in here with the number of blocks that I have. The door at 19-8 is upstream from the door at 15-8, so that is also pretty much not worth considering. And 1, 2, 3... Tile boundaries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No, this is 6. This block doesn't count. Upstream of there. Yeah, no, so that's meaningless. Not worth considering. So the door at 15-8 may be worth my consideration. This is the most likely one that I want. Okay. Walk onto the door at 15-8. So, walking onto the door at 15-8, after this block has died, would require me to be back out here. The two ways to escape this area are walking south over the trapdoors, assuming they're still there, and walking east through the door, assuming something is holding the door and nothing is here. The only way something can be holding the door... Yes, this is true for two reasons. The only way something can be holding the door, and I can escape, is if I have entered via the trapdoors. If I enter this way, I can't leave something here. If I try to climb over this way... I would require to have gotten 3 non-monster push blocks out, which itself is impossible. Yes, which itself is impossible. And also, if I was standing here, I still can't escape because block F is blocked by block E. Can't push from there. cannot push from there. Okay, let's be scientific about this. Ways exit the hot zone. Oop. Requires door to be held, plate to be held, and entrance to have been through trapdoors. I'm going somewhere with this. Do I remember where I was going with this? I want to prove it to be impossible to do what? To use this door as a means of elevation to get here. I want to prove it to be impossible to use this door to elevate to here, so that I can prune that entire line of reasoning and focus solely on sacrifice altars being used for elevation. Just so that all of that uncertainty is gone. So, for this to be impossible, that means I must not be able to have walked in on the trapdoors while these doors are open. This feels easy to prove. Okay, I have 6 monster blocks. That's not a lot. Okay, so here's a question. Can I make a single sacrifice ever without having already used the trapdoors? And I think the answer to that is already no. Like, no matter how tall a tower I build here, there's just no trickery I can do to make a turn. Okay, let's prove this true or false. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. That's a lot of stuff wrapped up in one statement. So the main reason that's hard is because of this turn. There's a 90-degree turn from the non-trapdoor entry point. There is no turn from the trapdoor entry point. Now, okay. The alternate way being... let's see. This still involves dropping the trapdoors. Now, sure, there's the idea of stacking some blocks on top of the trapdoors so I can go across them without dropping them. Oh. The way I was always picturing doing that... Okay, I feel like it is unproven that I cannot stack blocks on trapdoors to, Okay, let's prove this because that'll help prove this. I cannot stack push blocks and trapdoors to preserve them over multiple traversals. Okay, so let me see what obstacles I run into by trying to do that. First one being... let's see, I'm going to stack of 2 to get started. A stack of 3 would do sort of better, not really though. Well, let's do it anyway. So I can put this here. I can put this not where I want it. I can put this here and drop the thing. I can't currently escape. Alright, so as soon as I made this move, the trapdoors were doomed to be dropped. Okay, it's the same reason that I can't sacrifice from this door without using the trapdoors. Okay. Because it's a 90-degree turn. Now hold on, is there any other way? There are no multi-push blocks in the room. Pushing in from the south would mean there's a monster block there. And you can't walk on those. So yeah, like the closest I could get is this. Both trapdoors do have blocks on them. However, I'm down low with no means to get up high again. Yeah, I can't have the means here to sacrifice anything. Okay. Okay. There might be a tiny thing I'm overlooking, but I think it's very unlikely. Okay, it's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors, so let's... So now that I have sufficient confidence on this, let's see if it can be extended into this one. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. So that 90-degree turn I would need to do while being up high. There's just no way to do it. Okay, so let's break this down further. It's impossible to escape the hot zone without dropping trapdoors in some direction. So, right, that is impossible because I've already proven this. Because if I hold this door, I cannot get in here. Also, I don't get up high on this. Well, does that matter? Yes. So I can't walk here with that held from this direction. That would be of interest if I could do it. But even if I did, then that means, because I had to have been up high, if we can imagine these monster blocks were dead, then sure, I could get in here and push this around, but I'm not escaping. Okay, so this one gets 99.5% certainty. I am half as uncertain of this as I am of this. It's impossible to make sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. So this directly extends from there, right? I have to escape. Or drop trapdoors to make a sacrifice. I have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn. And have to drop trapdoors to make a sacrifice without a 90-degree turn. This font actually has a degree symbol in it, but I don't have a way to... I don't have a key combination that will type it on this keyboard. Need a different keyboard layout for that. I don't have one ready to go. Okay, right, so what I'm trying to prove... The gameplay is here on this screen now. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. Because I have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn, and have to drop trapdoors to make a sacrifice without a 90-degree turn, and I cannot escape the hot zone. Okay, so let's make sure that I agree with this part. I have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn Okay, what do I mean by a 90-degree turn? That keeps a monster block alive long enough to be sacrificed. Okay, so what I mean by a 90-degree turn is just what it sounds like, but there's that extra little requirement. Because I can do... this. Okay, so part of this process that I should mention... I'm intentionally breaking this down into very small steps, each of which does not consider surrounding context. So each step needs to be either provable completely on its own or built on things that are, which, in a chain, can let me make higher level statements like this. So this is how I am proving what is true. There is some error. Again, like these confidences, these are not 100%. There's room for me to be wrong about something. So I just have to trust that I'm not wrong about too many things, and I won't make a wrong turn in this analysis. Anyway, right, so what's the thing I'm trying to prove right now? This should remember its scroll position. This should remember its scroll position. I can do that. I can totally do that. Okay. So what I mean, 90-degree turn. Have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn that keeps the monster block alive. Right. Okay. So now, actually, I think that's the wrong thing, the wrong question to ask, isn't it? Kinda? No. Okay, so to make that question make sense, what I'm trying to do now is to make a sacrifice without having first... I need that taller. Do I? No. Yes. No. No. Make a sacrifice without having brought anything in through the trapdoors. Again, right, even if individual steps of this obviously do not make sense, the point is not to make sense for overall solve of the room. The point is just to take a reasonably short path to proving one statement, no matter what other statements it also involves that make the room impossible by their presence. So... this has shown that I can indeed make a sacrifice without having brought something through the trapdoor, because I just did that. Not that that's compatible with a solution, but that's not the question I'm asking here. Okay, so anyway. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. I dropped trapdoors in that situation. I have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn that keeps the monster block alive long enough to be sacrificed, and have to... okay. And have to drop trapdoors to make a sacrifice without a 90-degree turn. That one is 100%. Because these are pits, and pits cannot be crossed in this room layout. Okay. And these are pits too. And I can't be up here unless I enter the room from there, which... can I do that? Yes. But from here, there's a wall to my left, a wall to my south, a wall to my positive x-axis, and an exit to my north. Okay. Where does that leave me? It's impossible to make sacrifices. Okay, so 100% confidence in the second part of this statement. How confident am I in the first part? I have to escape the hot zone. Like, there's a lot in here. Can I break this down further? I think I might not be able to. What is all this going toward? Making, proving this is impossible? No, that's the way to exit the hot zone. Right, proving that this is not worth looking at. I'm almost willing to just shortcut and say, close enough, don't look at this one, go for that one, because that's obviously what I'm supposed to be doing here anyway. Almost close enough. I think I can finish this process though, because if I'm almost close enough, then why not get all the way there? I have to escape the hot zone to make a 90-degree turn that keeps a monster block alive long enough to be sacrificed. Because... Can't stack pushblocks and trapdoors. Impossible to escape the hot zone without dropping trapdoors in some direction. Well, if I'm already sure of this... Oh, if I'm already sure of this, then that's not even worth asking. Well, it is, though. Can I do this without escaping the hot zone? Right, okay. So by walking over this door... Alright, so I can only... When I enter the hot zone, I can bring something with me in a straight line. Nothing can go on my head. No one else can move blocks in. Blocks are not already there. So all I get is straight line bringing. So to unpack a straight line of blocks that can be stacked arbitrarily to get a 90-degree turn is impossible. Okay. I'm going to put this at 100%. So both substatements are 100%, therefore the overall statement is 100%. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. Yes, this follows from everything below. Unless one of these two is false, which I really don't think it is. This gets... That's not the correct way to calculate that, but I don't want to figure out the correct way. I'll just average these two and say that's my confidence in this statement. Okay, so that means trapdoors, impossible based on below hypotheses. Wait a second, the hot zone... Well, no, sorry, it's not that. Requires exiting hot zone after... Lowercase h hot zone is this 4x4 area, by the way. Uppercase h hot zone is this entire area. Room. Requires exiting hot zone after sacrifice with... Trapdoors undropped? That's not true. No. Requires exiting hot zone via trapdoors after sacrifice, which has been proven 99.25% impossible. These numbers are just my feeling. But... sometimes quantifying my feelings is useful. Okay. So, prune this. Okay. So I'm going to give this a star. I'm going to give that an X. I'm going to give that an X. Going to give that an X. The star means maybe you can do it. Sacrifice on either altar by pushing from the north. Okay. So the two altars have very similar properties. Here in this replay, the left altar sacrificed looks like that. I have to step north afterward, and the room state that would get me out Okay, it is at this point that I'm considering the idea of clearing the room, leaving the room, coming back, and getting the key. That's definitely impossible, right? Because of this, yes. Yes. This is an unpassable... Is that unpassable? With room clear, I could stack 3, unpack them, rearrange. Well, I could stack 6, rearrange, push them over. Oh no! Is this what it is? No. The reason this is not what it is because of this. It's impossible to make a sacrifice without having dropped trapdoors. And when the trapdoors are dropped, it's impossible to escape the Hotzone without dropping trapdoors in some direction. Have to drop trapdoors to make a sacrifice without a 90-degree turn. Okay, these don't by themselves prove that. With the room clear... Okay, but I can't clear the room and escape to the south. Alright, we need a new one. So, why is that impossible? I have to be standing here and push this over. At the point at which I'm standing here and have pushed this over, what has happened? 2 sacrifices have happened. Or elevation shenanigans that I believe to be fairly impossible? But yeah, so I think maybe an under-considered line of reasoning is this one. Something that looks like this. That puts me here. This could totally have had a few more monster blocks on it. I could clear the room from here. As in, like, remove all the monsters in it. I'm not getting out unless 2 sacrifices have been made. Trapdoors have already been dropped in that process, and it's definitely impossible to exit the door, and I can't make a 90-degree turn without dropping trapdoors. Okay, I am sure enough of those things to proceed, but that only gets a 96%. I'm gonna put it a little lower, actually, 92%. There's some possible wiggle room here. But okay, let's run this whole query. If that had been true, then yes, I could trivially stack 6, get that key, and escape to the north. Just to actually see it play out. Let's do it all the way. That would look like this. Oops. Then 2 more pushes. If those were not monsters, would make a perfectly usable bridge there, and there's an escape to the north. That is suspiciously close to possible. So suspicious, I'm lowering this confidence. 80%. I mean, if this is true, then there's no reason to consider that. But that's just a little too convenient looking to me. Just like in puzzle language, this is glowing in a color that tells me I need to investigate this line of thinking. So to kill this and get out of the hot zone. Two sacrifices while still holding the door. Okay, how did I like to do this part? Okay, let's try... yeah, sure. Ow. Ow. So my two sacrifices, I needed to have done some work first. Okay. Stack of 2 here. I can't do both of these things at the same time, can I? Yes, I can. Stack of 2 here does that. Stack of 2 here does this. Do I have an extra monster block? Oops. Or am I thinking about this wrong? I think I have an extra. That's okay, don't worry about it. 2 sacrifices made. Oh, this gives me a new angle to pursue. Oh, this gives me an actual new angle to pursue. Where could you go that's useful? I have a place. Did I just solve it? Maybe. Stack of 3. What a fascinating process if so. And it would make sense that this is completely different from what I was considering, because as good as what I was considering looked, the dead ends I ran into were very hard-edged. There was like no wiggle room for me in those. This is not configured correctly. I want to hold the door with nothing there. Well, I guess then I might as well hold the door with these. Oops. The way this works is I do that, I do this, I pull that out, I go ahead and make that a full stack of 3. Yeah, so like the dead ends I found just didn't, I never found a way to gain any wiggle room from them. So I make that sacrifice, I preserve you for later elevation. I push these aside. Let's see, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more. This altar does that, so I want this here. This just works. This is a solution. I think I did it. This is not how I expected this process to go, but I'm not sure what I did expect. But there we go. Room is clear. I walk out. I walk back in. I stack everything. I have my key. Oh! So that funny falling confidence number. Well, okay. I mean, I proved it is possible, so 0%. All right. There we go. I disproved a thing. Okay, so, right. So the thing that led me to victory was to disprove a thing that I thought was true. I need an actual stack of 6. So that is why it was a useful exercise to try to prove things true or false, because when one of those things surprises me, then it can upend my whole understanding and just let me see an entirely new angle. Okay. Yeah, I need to, like, take some personal time to reflect on how this went and how to use this process in the future. There might have been other things that could have clued me into this, because today, again, is the first time I've ever considered clearing the room and getting the key on a separate visit. Well, check it out. That got it done. All right. So, I mean, the simple thing to take from this is the process worked. Go here, use a text editor, be really rigorous about it, and just write notes to myself. Because I can't keep this whole chain of reasoning in my head at a time. Yeah, so I think really the thing that helped me here was the offloading parts of my understanding into text, because text stays. Parts of my understanding that are just sitting in my head do not. Those shift around. I forget little parts of them during the process of solving. Text is helping me. Okay. Well, next time, let's apply the same process in Drain, because I chose Hotzone because it was the oldest one. It's not blocking anything other than... Actually, can I go this way now? Can I have another star key? If I ask nicely? Yes, I can have lots more star keys. Oh, I wasn't ever stuck because I could unlock those doors. Okay, I forgot about this route. So there was stuff I could do, but hey, that led me to doing the hard science, getting the hot zones done at least, so no regrets on that. Yeah, I think I still am going to stick with my plan. Next time, let's do Drain, since that's the second oldest one, with the process, and hopefully I can get that done and just apply this sort of thing. If I can understand what I even did, I don't know. Do I need to get scientific about the science? Anyway, next time, trying the same thing with Drain.